Hello everybody, Shift Your Mindset here with a new episode, and that is Beth Shan. We all know Beth Sarim if you watch many ex-JW channels. Beth Sarim was the place Rutherford bought for himself, and what he prepared for his friends from the past, Abraham, David, Isaac, I don't know. He bought Cadillacs and cars, and it was a mansion where he withdrew himself to in the summer or in the winter, I believe. So he bought it for other people, for the kings who would return to earth. He bought it for himself, but hey, potato, doesn't matter. But what I always like is to learn new things. And I didn't know about this one. And let me know in the comments if you already knew this one. So I didn't know about this one. I know about Beth Shan, but there's more. Because on the same plot was Beth Shan. Means house of security in Hebrew. And it was a little known property owned by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, the legal organization body behind Jehovah's Witnesses in, of course, San Diego, California. He acquired it in 1939, and it was a secluded 75-acre estate built under Joseph Rutherford. And although it's rarely mentioned in official literature, Beth Shan was a companion estate to the better known Beth Sarim, House of Princes, which have been constructed years earlier. Both properties were tied, of course, to the expectations of Rutherford about an apocalyptic disaster. So, what was Beth Shan? Beth Shan was not just an ordinary property like Beth Sarim. And now it gets interesting for me, because now you can see the motives and the real things behind the curtains of Jehovah's Witnesses. Why? Because Beth Shan was equipped with a large main house and outbuildings. That's not so strange, Sven. No, it's not that strange. It had its own diesel generator and water reservoir. Not that strange. Maybe for that time it is a little bit strange. Now people have generators or water reservoirs. It had some agricultural infrastructure, gardens, livestock facilities were included. And now it's getting interesting because it has 2 underground bunkers. Why do your Jehovah's Witnesses need a bunker? Armageddon is coming. Everything is gonna be fine. They're gonna be saved. Why they need an underground bunker? Not 1, but 2. They were reinforced bunkers with concrete walls about 3 feet thick. 3 feet. They were hidden behind secret entrances. It was behind a medicine cabinet in a bathroom. You opened the cabinet and then you had the entrance to one of the bunkers. So why would you hide that for anybody? And it was designed to protect the leadership of Watchtower in the event of a war, of a social collapse. But why was it so secret? Why do Jehovah's Witnesses, governing body at that time, Joseph Rutherford, keep it as a secret? Because Beth Sarim was in the publications a few times, but Beth Shan is never mentioned. Only one mention. If you can go to the Constellation magazine of May 27, 1942, then you see the name in relation to Rutherford's burial request. And this secrecy has fueled widespread speculation at that time, not only from witnesses but also from researchers. Why? Because they don't want public scrutiny, so that's why they hide it. And Beth Shan was in the context of Rutherford's apocalyptic vision. Beth Shan was built in the shadows of World War II, a period within Rutherford frequently predicted that the world governments would collapse in 1945, that Armageddon was coming. He was already predicting that for the upcoming World War II. The possibility of gas warfare, mass destruction and starvation. That's why it had bunkers for attacking with gas. That's why it had livestock like goats and stuff like that, because starvation was around the corner. Not paradise was around the corner, but starvation was around the corner. So they wanted to have only the top of the Jehovah's Witnesses, only J.F. Rutherford and maybe some companions from headquarters. They have a secure, self-sustaining place to survive. And the other Jehovah's Witnesses, we don't care. They have to look for their own hiding space. So it was a place of survival. He could survive there. And it reflected a literal preparation for divine judgment and global catastrophe. So it was always about physical survival, despite all the teachings that mocked worldly doomsday preppers. They mock everybody about doomsday prepping. But the leader of the Jehovah's Witnesses was prepping for himself. So, of course, when he died in 1942, he expressed that he wishes to be buried at Beth Shan, but the city of San Diego denied that permit. So, after his death, that Beth Shan was irrelevant. The war was gone. The estate was sold in 1945, 3 years after he passed. And why is this an important thing? That little bit of history that we don't know about, that I didn't know about till this morning. Because it exposes the organizational hypocrisy. Preaching to be reliant on Jehovah, but privately you are preparing your escape plan. And it's also about not only privilege, but elite privilege. So it has nothing to do with a little bit of privilege, no, elite privilege, because they had access, the leadership, had access to protection and luxury, while members had nothing at that time. It was a bad time for Jehovah's Witnesses. They struggled a lot during those years of pre-war and during the war. It also highlights why it matters, Beth Shan, is secrecy and control. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses are still about, almost 100 years later. Because core doctrines are enforced with rigid discipline, but we have secret projects behind closed doors. Welcome to the Jehovah's Witnesses, people. So, it was not just a property, because Watchtower has a lot of properties. Now these days they have a lot, but even in those days they had a lot of properties for that time. But it was a hidden bunker. It was not just a property. No, this means that if they have a hidden bunker, that shows you how far they go, that leadership, to protect themselves. And every other witness can sort it out. Not my problem. I'm in my bunker and I'm gonna survive that doomsday. You tell members not to fear Armageddon. It's something that it's good because Jehovah is cleaning his house. You are saying to members not to prepare for Armageddon. Only a backpack for a few days if something happens. But in Armageddon, you can't prepare for Armageddon. But secretly, I am preparing as a leader of the Jehovah's Witnesses. How twisted are you? So, everybody who is recovering from this, just look into this, because it's an important case study for you, that there is secrecy in the Jehovah's Witnesses. It can confirm your thoughts. It can confirm all the things you thought about the Jehovah's Witnesses. There is a fear-based leadership. There is spiritual authoritarianism. So, it is stunning to hear about this. And it's very interesting. I find it very interesting because it assures me, it confirms me that things are not right from the top down. So you can also see the deed language that's entrusting the property if you search for it. William P. Heath Jr., a loyal Rutherford confidant, he signed the original deal. Watchtower in 1941 speaks about it. And Fred Eason, so it's not a made-up story, but Fred Eason, who later owned part of the property, recalled, "To enter the shelter, one would go to the small bathroom area, open the medicine cabinet, pull a concealed lever inside. A section of the wall would swing open, revealing a stairway down into what can only be identified as a bomb shelter. A room about 30 times 15 feet, with a 10 feet high ceiling. The walls were lined with storage shelves. The cement ceiling of the room was 3 feet thick. So a secure room with heavy-duty survival storage, made to safeguard only a select few." So, during Rutherford's petition to be buried there, the article says one thing about that place. Consolation, May 27, 1942. The judge decided to continue the case so that the new site could be brought before the planning commission. New location for interment was almost in the center of the property known as Beth Shan, adjoining Beth Sarim, but separated by a half-mile wide of canyon. Judge Rutherford said that as a second choice he wished to be buried somewhere on these wild acres. So this single reference remains the only official nod to Beth Shan's existence or purpose. So, a 1940 watchtower vaguely denied rumors of a place of security, because when it was known by some Jehovah's Witnesses, of course it became a rumor. But as we know, watchtower, they always deny rumors. Some unreliable person is responsible for the circulation of a report that Beth Sarim is being enlarged as a place of security. There is absolutely not one word of truth in the report. Interesting in this is that the denial referenced Beth Sarim, not Beth Shan. So we know Watchtower, it's an intentional misdirection. They call it Beth Sarim, but that place of security was Beth Shan. So they think if we weasel the words, like they doing still today, like they doing in the Australian Royal Commission, so forth, if we name it Beth Sarim, then we can deny it. Because it's not a property and that was not for security. That was to live in. But Beth Shan was that security complex. So, why am I making this video? I'm making this video because I find it interesting to find things about the past that confirms what I know and think about the organization. It helps you starting your critically thinking, starting to think for yourself. Why is this an important thing? Because leadership seeks for shelter. Fuel tanks, bunkers, generators. This reveals that there is a lot of secrecy. It confirms my theory that there is a lot of secrecy in the Jehovah's Witnesses. Majority of the members are kept in the dark, and that's why this is important. It is a highlight of cognitive dissonance. We rely on Jehovah, but on the other hand, we build luxury estate for our leaders. Double standards. They confirmed what was whispered in corners and documented by researchers. And we know researchers are Jehovah's people, no Satan's people, I mean. No, researchers did a good job to do this. So that was Beth Shan, the security place for the leaders of the Jehovah's Witnesses, that when things go wrong in the country, and they name it Armageddon, but a war is coming, they are in hiding, while you are in plain sight struggling to survive. They have a storage bunker full of luxurious things where they can easily be for months, while you and your family are maybe dying because of starvation. So guys, let me know if you already knew this topic, if you already knew about this property. I only knew about Beth Sarim. I learned something today. I'm happy because it confirms what I always thought about the Jehovah's Witnesses, that there is more than that they show us. And the leaders of the Jehovah's Witnesses have an escape plan. I'm 100% sure that if something now will happen, people are after them, that they have an escape plan. For them, not for you, not for me, not for all the Jehovah's Witnesses, but only for the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Thank you guys for watching. We see each other on the next episode.